The story starts with a kid struggling to balance on a rope. Students gossip about him, saying that he's always in fights and causes trouble. Everyone avoids him because they believe he cannot interact with people. They criticize his appearance and think the color of one of his eyes might mean that he's cursed. Everyone thinks he's nasty, and then he eventually falls from the rope. After that, we meet Sakura. He likes strong people and doesn't care about the weak. While walking, he sees some guys bothering a girl and asking her to do something. However, the girl jokes about smashing eggs on their heads. But Sakura interrupts and tells her that he hates weak people who act tough. He tells the bullies to stop being lame. The leader gets offended and tries to attack Sakura, but Sakura easily defeats him. He tells them to remember his name and face and warns them to run when they see him again. He introduces himself as Haruka Sakura from Fuurin High School. The girl thanks Sakura, but he makes it clear that he didn't help her out of kindness. He did it just because he found the bullies annoying. She offers him food, and surprisingly, he accepts it. She introduces herself as Takibana and explains that the gang causing trouble has made the town unsafe. Sakura is confused by her kindness, as people usually fear him after seeing him. Sakura then tells her that looks don't matter in a fight, which is why he came to Fuurin High. This school is known for having tough students who are great fighters. They fight every day to decide who's on top, and Sakura wants to be the top fighter. Meanwhile, Takibana notices that he's wearing his school uniform even though school has not started yet. Sakura gets embarrassed after hearing this and tells her that he just moved and had nothing else to wear. She teases him, and he gets defensive. As they argue, a customer forgets their bag, but Sakura instantly reminds them. When Sakura heads home, he finds the encounter with Takibana weird. An old man gives him candies and tells Takibana to thank him. Sakura thinks the town is strange, as he isn't used to kindness. Then Sakura bumps into the same gang from earlier. The leader mocks him for his appearance, thinking he is in a costume. But when he realizes Sakura's look is real, he feels disgusted. However, Sakura smiles after hearing this, as he is used to this reaction. He believes beating others makes him feel superior. The gang leader declares war on Fuurin because Sakura punched him. But Sakura isn't listening, as he's thinking about Takibana's words about being alone. He fights the gang and defeats them easily despite being outnumbered. One thug grabs Takibana, but Sakura knocks him out. Takibana thanks Sakura again, but he insists that he only fought because they annoyed him. One thug pulls a knife, but Sakura tells them to keep it fair. He defends Takibana, even though he does not know why he's doing it. When he gets cut, he regrets helping her and thinks that's why he usually doesn't defend others. Just then, another Fuurin student blocks an attack on Sakura and tells the gang they have messed up the town. His friends arrive, and they easily defeat the thugs. Sakura is shocked that Fuurin students are saving him. People standing near them cheer for the Fuurin students, seeing them as heroes protecting the town. After the fight, the town thanks the Fuurin students. Sakura is amazed by the town's acceptance of fighters. Then an old lady offers to patch his wound, but he asks her to stop being kind to him. Takibana, however, does not listen and starts to patch his wound, saying that she won't turn her back on him. Sakura is still reluctant to accept their help, but then realizes the town needs his strength. Takibana encourages Sakura to be who he wants to be. Sakura then decides to join the others as he wants to be the top fighter. He fights the gang leader who terrorizes the town and wonders if people will stick by him. Later, Sakura goes to Takibana's restaurant. He helped an old lady, but then got annoyed by her actions. Takibana serves him food, thinking that he must be excited about school. Then another student named Nairi shows up and talks about Fuurin High. Nairi explains that Fuurin students protect the town and are seen as heroes here. Sakura is surprised by their kindness and starts to understand his place in the town. However, Nairi becomes curious about why Sakura ended up fighting the gang. Sakura says he's there to be the best, but Nairi warns him not to talk big if he can't back it up. And then he leaves to patrol the town before the entrance ceremony. Nairi declares that he's going to be a hero of justice, but this shows how talentless he is. Takibana notices how funny Nairi is, but Sakura can't believe that someone like him can be a hero. Sakura thinks that people like Nairi only talk when it comes to fighting. However, Tachibana tells Sakura not to judge people too quickly and to get to know them better first. Sakura considers this, but still thinks Nairi is just a weak fighter. While walking, Sakura is amazed when people offer him free bread and other things just because he stood up to a gang. He realizes that he was wrong to assume that people in this town would treat him badly. At another location, Nairi gets beat up while trying to protect a girl from some thugs. The thugs mock him, but he declares that anyone causing chaos here will be wiped out by Fuurin. They laugh and get ready to attack. But then Sakura steps in. Sakura says that he just hates weak people who think they are strong and easily defeats the thugs. Nairi tells Sakura his story of wanting to be like someone from Fuurin who saved him in middle school. Sakura realizes that he misjudged Nairi and tells him he might not be totally lame. A girl thanks both of them for their help, and Nairi starts bombarding Sakura with questions. Sakura lets Nairi tag along, and they go to school together. At school, they find out they are in the same class. Nairi suggests that Sakura be friendly with everyone, but Sakura is more focused on preparing for anything. The class notices Sakura's appearance, and then a student named Hayato pranks him by pretending to be Jack Sparrow. Hayato then gets serious and welcomes Sakura. Sakura reveals that he came to Fuurin to be the top dog. After saying this, a scary student named Kyotaro challenges Sakura. They start fighting, and everyone watches in shock as Sakura holds his own. However, an announcement then interrupts them, welcoming everyone and reminding them to protect the town. Hayato reminds Kyotaro that Yumamiya will not accept fighting a classmate. Kyotaro offers to shake hands, and Sakura reluctantly agrees. Sakura is surprised by his classmate's kindness. Sakura tells Nairi that he saw Haragi when he saved Tachibana, but Haragi overhears this and gets furious. As Sakura wasn't supposed to mention Tachibana, Haragi explains that he will be in big trouble if people find out Tachibana was in danger. Haragi threatens Sakura, but then starts coughing up blood. He takes stomach medicine and tells Sakura that he chose a tough leader to follow. Haragi explains that just patrolling in their uniforms is enough to scare off smaller crews. Sakura finds it boring, but Haragi says that only enjoying the fight isn't fun either. After that, they come across a tunnel with a dog symbol. Nairi tells Sakura that they are at the border between Fuurin and another team's turf. Crossing the train tracks will lead to a different area with its own rules, and it's dangerous to cause trouble there. Surprisingly, Sakura gets happy after hearing this. They then see a Fuurin middle schooler being chased by the Lion's Head punks, and it doesn't look like he will make it across the tracks in time. Haragi bows his head, feeling helpless, but then Sakura and Kyotaro attack the Lion's Head punks. Nairi gets scared because they're not supposed to mess with a Lion's Head turf. Sakura says that the kid is on their team, so it was the Lion's Head fools who interfered. Sakura tells Kyotaro to leave, but he doesn't listen. The Lion's Head punks mock their own teammate for getting knocked out with a single kick. Sakura is shocked to see how ruthless they are. The Lion's Head punks get scared when Joe Tagame, their second in command, shows up. Tagame casually greets Haragi and learns what happened. Tagame breaks a bottle over his teammate's head for losing the fight. Seeing this, Sakura thinks that beating up the weak doesn't prove strength and stands up to Tagame. Everyone is surprised to see that Tagame does not get mad at Sakura, as he is more curious about Sakura's hair and fast talking. He announces that he will beat Sakura when the time is right. After that, he leaves, and Nairi gets scared, thinking they might have started a war. Hayato calms him down, and Haragi takes more stomach medicine. Haragi apologizes for not acting sooner and tells Sasaki to come with them to report to Yumamiya. Sakura wonders if Haragi is scared of Yumamiya. On the school rooftop, Yumamiya is excited about summer plans. Haragi tries to report the problem, but he gets irritated because Yumamiya doesn't listen. Sakura is confused about why so many students respect him. After Yumamiya is done talking to the plant, Sasaki explains that he chased a shoplifter and unknowingly entered Lion's Head territory. Yumamiya praises him for trying to protect the town and says he will handle the war. Suddenly, Haragi gets a call about Lion's Head, and they see Choji dragging a knocked-out student. Choji, the leader of Lion's Head, is here to challenge Yumamiya to a fight. Nairi gets scared, but Sakura gets excited. However, Yumamiya tells them to stay out of it. Yumamiya confronts Choji, but then Choji's crew shows up, and Sakura and the others join Yumamiya to support him. Choji seems frustrated because he wanted a proper duel with Yumamiya and asks everyone else to leave. Yumamiya sees what's happening and tells everyone to stay put as he steps forward, saying that he will duel Choji but wants his crew to back off to avoid chaos. Choji gets excited about the duel, but then someone from Lion's Head insults Yumamiya, calling him weak. This angers Kyotaro, and another person mocks Hayato by saying that he needs accessories to stand out. Hayato finds this cute and is not bothered. Then Tagame steps in and suggests saving the duel for another time since it's getting dark and they won't fully appreciate the fight. Sakura fires back and says that the only one getting beaten up will be Tagame. Seeing the tension, Choji suggests turning the duel into a team match where they can have multiple one-on-one battles like Yumamiya versus Choji, Tagame versus Sakura, Kyotaro versus Yukinori, and Hayato versus Kanama. Yumamiya insists on a one-on-one duel, but Choji thinks a tournament sounds more fun. After everything is sorted, Choji declares that the Lion's Head crew's fate is on the line. They better do their best and have fun. Later, Fuurin school members go to a cafe to eat, where Nairi seems worried, thinking they're in trouble. Sakura gets annoyed with Nairi's behavior, but Nairi reminds him that he was the one who started this mess. Takibana brings food and tells Nairi not to stress because it won't change anything. However, Nairi worries that if Yumamiya loses, Fuurin might get in trouble, but Takibana reassures him, saying that they won't lose easily. Meanwhile, Sakura finishes his food quickly and asks to leave. Sakura wonders why they had to meet at the cafe. Hayato explains that it's a chill spot for Fuurin students before big fights. Just then, Yumamiya arrives and starts talking to Takibana. Sakura first thinks she's Yumamiya's girlfriend, but they quickly deny it. Yumamiya tells him that she's like a little sister to him. Sakura is surprised but understands. Suddenly, Kyotaro throws a chair at Sakura. Haragi reminds Sakura never to let Yumamiya know if Takibana is in danger. After that, they start to leave the cafe, but before leaving, Sasaki thanks Sakura for saving him. However, Sakura gets embarrassed. The next morning, they head to Lion's Head territory for the tournament. Choji and his crew are already there to welcome them. Choji leads them to a place called Orion, which was a former movie theater and is now used as their lair. The Lion's Head crew cheers when they enter. Choji then starts the event, but Yumamiya reminds his crew that the only important fight is his duel with Choji. However, Sakura rejects this, saying that he won't lose anyway. The others also agree with this. Choji wants to fight Yumamiya first, but another Lion's Head member, Yukinari, wants to fight Kyotaro first. Kyotaro accepts the challenge. The first fight between Yukinari and Kyotaro starts. Yukinari tries to distract Kyotaro, but ends up getting knocked out with one punch. The Lion's Head crew is shocked, but Choji finds it amusing. Sakura is eager to fight next, but Hayato steps in as he is ready to face Kanuma. The second fight between Hayato and Kanuma begins. Kanuma enters in an angry mood, but quickly becomes scared and frustrated as he is unable to land a hit on Hayato. However, Hayato is playing around with his opponent. Yumamiya realizes that Hayato isn't a regular guy, but Sakura thinks he is completely ruthless. Seeing Hayato's fight, Haragi is surprised that Hayato is trying to prove a point in the fight. However, Yumamiya thinks someone influenced Hayato to do that. The fight continues, but it's clear that Hayato is just playing with Kanuma. Hayato barely has to move to dodge attacks and drops Kanuma again. The crowd turns against Kanuma, and Kanuma becomes horrified when he sees Choji has fallen asleep. Tagame is also unimpressed, and Kanuma remembers what happened to a weakling under the bridge. Kanuma starts panicking. Hayato sees this and thinks that Kanuma is beginning to understand what it takes to be an adult. Kanuma is scared after facing these things, but Hayato calmly points out that he can now move on to the next step. Hayato gets ready for the next attack, but Kanuma begs him to stop. Tagame then asks Hayato to end the fight, saying that Kanuma has been humiliated enough and is no longer part of Lion's Head. After hearing this, Kanuma's worst nightmare becomes reality. Hayato's final lesson is that being an adult means feeling for others, which requires both imagination and experience. After that, Hayato leaves, and the Lion's Head crowd falls silent after witnessing the brutal fight. Yumamiya praises Hayato's victory, but Hayato doesn't seem impressed by himself. Nairi gets excited and asks Hayato if he uses kung fu or another martial art. Meanwhile, Hayato has no answer, as he uses mixed fighting styles. Sakura then warns Hayato to take their fight seriously if it happens. Nairi gets annoyed after hearing this from Sakura. Sakura loses his cool and almost attacks Hayato, but Nairi holds him back. Then they see Kanuma dragging his unconscious friend Yukinari. After a moment, Yukinari wakes up and asks if Kanuma lost too. Kanuma can only say, "It's over," as he knows they will now be punching bags. Choji wants to fight Hayato, but Tagame asks who's next. Sakura thinks it's his turn, but another guy points at Haragi for the next fight. Sakura gets upset as he didn't want his turn to be skipped. Haragi then reminds him that he's supposed to fight Tagame. Sakura calms down, but is still mad at the guy cutting in line. As Sako gets on stage, Choji wishes him luck, but Tagame condescendingly asks about his fight with Haragi. However, Sako ignores him. On stage, Haragi compliments Sako's growth, but regrets that they have to fight now. Sako stays silent, and Choji yells for them to start. Sako charges and starts throwing punches and kicks, but Haragi blocks them all. Sako tells Haragi not to look down on him and charges again. The fight gets intense, as neither lands solid hits and both dodge attacks easily. But then Sako grabs his own leg mid-kick and barely misses Haragi. Sako calls out Haragi for having no style and only relying on brute strength. Haragi notices Sako's transformation and remembers how silent Sako was during training. Meanwhile, Sako's past anger fuels him, and he charges again. He knocks Haragi back with a kick and then blames Haragi's friends for his weakness. In the meantime, Haragi gets back up to fight. Haragi praises Sako for getting stronger, but says that now he must show his strength. After some more attacks, Haragi gains the upper hand and knocks Sako out. Sako wonders how Haragi is much stronger than him. A flashback then shows Haragi telling Sako to stand up for himself. Sako begs Haragi to teach him, and they train together. Sako respects Haragi and is proud to follow him. But when Haragi graduates, he tells Sako not to follow him to Fuurin. Sako gets frustrated and takes out his anger on a gang. After seeing this, Tagame and Choji recruit him for Lion's Head. Back in the present, Sako charges at Haragi, but Haragi counters and completely knocks Sako down. Sako realizes that he was selfish for always wanting to stay by Haragi's side. He collapses, making Haragi the winner. Tagame calls for Sako to be taken off stage, but Haragi himself carries Sako off, and Tagame thanks him half-heartedly. Tagame tries to remove Sako's jacket, but Haragi stops him. Haragi walks back to his seat, and Yumamiya congratulates him. Haragi is surprised that Yumamiya isn't asking about Sako or what's going on between them. Meanwhile, Tagame drifts off while thinking about the past. Choji snaps him back and reminds him that it's his turn. Tagame tells Sakura to get ready, and the squad goes wild as Sakura declares he is already prepared. The cheers get intense, and Hayato notes that they are louder than before. They gear up, and Sakura tries to throw the first punch, but Tagame tackles him and almost lands a chilling punch. However, Sakura manages to dodge it. Sakura notices that Tagame is moving very quickly, though Tagame doesn't consider it fast. Tagame remembers how Sakura insulted him in the tunnel by calling him lame. Sakura pulls off a leg sweep, but Tagame smashes Sakura's face into the ground. The crowd goes wild, but Nairi is freaked out after seeing it. Tagame is disappointed to see Sakura knocked out so easily and tells him that he's lamer than he could ever be. Sakura tries to act cocky, but Tagame scolds him, saying that only those with power can act that way. Hearing this, Sakura becomes furious. He makes a stand and shocks everyone by landing a solid kick. Sakura takes control of the fight, and the crowd goes silent as they witness Sakura's transformation. Sakura continues attacking and lands a powerful kick. But then Tagame tells Sakura not to get cocky and counters with a devastating kick. Tagame then stomps on Sakura's head, declaring that Lion's head is more powerful than the Fuurin crew. Sakura stands and calls out Lion's head for being bullies, suggesting they change their name. He refuses to lose to guys like them, but Tagame has had enough and stomps on his head again. Tagame gets confused by what Sakura is talking about and steps away from the fight to demand answers from Kanuma and Arima. They admit that they were messing with a middle school kid and try to shift the blame. After hearing this, Tagame beats them down and takes their lion's head jackets. Choji tells Tagame to get back to the fight. Tagame apologizes to Sakura for the delay and declares that it's time to continue. A flashback then shows a younger Tagame fighting off a group of Lion's Head members. Choji shows up and invites him to join the crew. Tagame first hesitates to join, but Choji convinces him. Back in the present, Sakura and Tagame continue their fight, but Sakura points out that Tagame doesn't seem interested in fighting. He asks Tagame why he started throwing punches at their crew. Tagame replies that he is just trying to clean up their crew by getting rid of the scumbags. Tagame thought fighting Fuurin would change things, but it ended up wrecking them. Sakura demands to know why Tagame chose to lose on purpose. Meanwhile, Choji interrupts and says he wants to fight Sakura someday, but for now, he is ready to fight Yumamiya. Tagame realizes he was wrong, so he urges Choji to call off the fight. But then Choji suddenly attacks Tagame and tells him to shut up because he has lost. Sakura gets very angry and tries to punch Choji, but Yumamiya stops him and informs Sakura that it's time to switch places. But Sakura is still too angry and tells Yumamiya that he will beat him if he loses to Choji. As Sakura leaves, he wonders why he is so angry about Tagame getting attacked. Nairi catches Sakura and saves him from falling. Meanwhile, on the stage, Choji is excited about fighting Yumamiya. But Yumamiya says he wants to ask him something first. Yumamiya asks Choji if he felt anything while watching Tagame and Sakura fight. Choji doesn't understand, so Yumamiya says it's a shame. Choji doesn't care about this. He just wants to fight strong people to feel good. He says that he only cares about power, and that if he wins, then Fuurin will be his. Choji thinks Yumamiya is always happy because he's stronger and freer. He demands that Yumamiya hand over Fuurin and starts attacking him. Yumamiya manages to fend off Choji's attacks. After seeing Choji's attack, the Fuurin guys are amazed and call him a natural-born fighter. Choji keeps fighting, but Yumamiya tells him that he will keep struggling if he focuses only on taking from others. Although Choji doesn't care and keeps attacking, Yumamiya lands a terrifying punch that makes Choji back off. Yumamiya is disappointed that Choji doesn't understand his point and declares that he won't lose to someone who can't get it. Choji keeps attacking, but Yumamiya easily counters his moves. Choji can't figure out why his punches aren't having any effect, so Yumamiya explains that it's because Choji fights alone without any support. However, Choji continues attacking, but Yumamiya remains unharmed. Yumamiya hits Choji hard and knocks him out. Afterwards, Choji has a flashback of before he became the leader. He remembers having fun with his friends. When he wakes up, he sees Tagame looking sad. Choji admits that he thought becoming the leader would be fun, but it wasn't. He apologizes to Tagame and decides to step down as the leader. Choji asks Yumamiya to take care of the team, but Yumamiya says he never wanted to be the leader of Lion's Head. Instead, he suggests they should all be friends. The crowd is confused, but Choji laughs for the first time after a long time. Then Yumamiya steps up and thanks everyone for coming to watch the fight. He asks everyone to pack up and head home. After that, he asks if there are any good takeout places nearby. When asked why he wants to know, Yumamiya says he wants to throw an after-party to celebrate the end of the tournament. Everyone heads to the rooftop and starts eating. Yumamiya digs in while the others eat more slowly. Nairi can't believe they still have an appetite after everything. However, Hayato isn't eating because he is on a diet. Sakura wonders how Yumamiya can eat with Choji after their fight, but Yumamiya doesn't seem to care, as he is more worried about Tagame, who hasn't touched his food yet. Tagame apologizes and takes responsibility for the tournament mess. Choji apologizes too. However, Yumemiya leaves it up to Sakura to decide whether to forgive Tagame and Choji. Sakura tells Tagame to become a better person, and Tagame promises to do so. Yumemiya declares everything settled and goes back to eating. Choji asks Yumemiya how he enjoys himself so much as the leader. Yumemiya says it's because he loves eating with his crew. Choji realizes that he made a mistake thinking he would have more fun as a top leader, but now he is glad that he can have fun again. Choji asks Yumemiya why he became the leader. Yumemiya says he wanted to make everyone happy. Although he didn't aim to be the leader, it allowed him to help others. Choji admires Yumemiya for understanding his goal before becoming the leader. Yumemiya further tells him that he was appointed leader by the people who believed in him. After eating, Yumemiya says goodbye and hopes Choji and Tagame visit Fuurin sometime soon. He gives Choji a bread roll as a parting gift. Once Yumemiya and his crew leave, Choji and Tagame are left alone. Choji worries about fixing his mistakes and losing his friends, but Tagame reassures him. After that, Fuurin members head to Takabana's cafe, where she expected them to be injured, but is surprised to see that they are already patched up. Sakura realizes that he can't become the leader on his own and understands that Yumemiya succeeded because he had support. Yumemiya names the day Conversation Day for Sakura and explains that fights can be a way to understand each other. He encourages Sakura to face people head-on. After that, they all head to class together, and Sakura begins to accept the people around him. They meet Taiga there, and Taiga asks Sakura about his virtues. However, Sakura isn't sure about this, but Taiga wants to find out through a fight. They all go to Taiga's favorite spot to talk and fight. Then another classmate, Mitsuki, enters the cafe with a girl. Nairi wonders if the girl might be Mitsuki's girlfriend, but Sakura isn't interested in that. He just wants to know how strong Mitsuki is. Taiga calls out to Mitsuki, telling him that Sakura wants to talk. Mitsuki looks at Sakura and says he's fine with chatting, but has to wait because he's on a date. Taiga doesn't get the hint and continues to bother Mitsuki, even inviting the girl. She looks scared, so Mitsuki tells Taiga to stop. Mitsuki knows Taiga means no harm, but Taiga is big and loud, which can scare people. Mitsuki tells Taiga that if he wants to be popular with the ladies, he needs to learn to adjust his behavior. Taiga realizes his mistake and apologizes sincerely. Since the girl is already scared, Mitsuki suggests they should go to another restaurant. Taiga feels bad, as scaring a girl goes against his own values. But before he can explain further, they notice some commotion outside. Outside, Mitsuki and the girl are surrounded by a gang. When the others step out to see what's going on, Mitsuki explains that he saw a guy harassing a girl, so he knocked him out and brought the girl here. But now that guy wanted payback and brought his friends. Taiga praises Mitsuki for helping the girl. But while Taiga keeps talking, Mitsuki tells him it's not the time for distractions. One of the gang members tries to sneak up on Mitsuki, but Sakura steps in and takes down the attacker with a kick. Sakura and Taiga then get ready to face the gang. Hayato tells the girl to step back to avoid becoming a hostage. He assures her that the three of them can handle the fight. Taiga asks Sakura if he wants to sit this one out because he's still injured from yesterday's fight, but Sakura never backs down. As the gang attacks, one guy goes straight for Taiga and knocks him down. But as the guy tries to punch again, Taiga grabs his hand and lets everyone know that he always lets his opponent get the first hit before he fights back. Then he suplexes the guy in a flashy way. Sakura thinks that's silly. Suddenly, a guy comes at Sakura from behind, so he spins and kicks him away. Sakura complains to Mitsuki about sending attackers his way, but Mitsuki says it will be quicker if he does it this way. Mitsuki sends another guy flying towards Sakura. Nairi wonders if Mitsuki enjoys pushing the attackers towards them, but Hayato thinks it's about keeping the attackers away from the girl and Nairi, who can't fight. Hayato tells Mitsuki that he has their backs. When another guy comes after them, Hayato takes him down. As the fight gets under control, Taiga tells Sakura that he can say the slogan now. Sakura is confused, so Taiga tells him to memorize it. Anyone who causes pain or has evil intentions will get their asses kicked by Fuurin, no exceptions. Then Mitsuki warns the guy who started the fight about causing trouble again. After the fight, Mitsuki tells the girl she's safe. Mitsuki then asks Sakura for his contact info to stay in touch. The others want it too, but Sakura has never had friends before and doesn't know how to share his info. Mitsuki says he will add his number to Sakura's phone. When Mitsuki opens Sakura's contacts, he sees only one contact named Weather, and they all find it funny and start laughing. They end up giving Sakura their numbers. The next day, Sakura is looking at his new contacts when Tachibana sneaks up behind him. He gets startled and drops his phone. Tachibana then adds her number to his phone. Sakura pretends not to care, but is happy to have another contact. He notices that he's in a group chat with the others, but isn't used to texting, so he decides to ask them directly in class. In class, Sakura's friends are surprised when he suddenly shows interest in knowing others' names. Sakura explains that it's good to know more about them. After a while, 3 second-year leaders enter the classroom, and Nairi gets excited when he sees them. Then Enomoto tells all the first-year students to choose a captain. Surprisingly, most of the students, including Hayato, Mitsuki, and Teiga, choose Sakura as their captain. Sakura is shocked and says he can't accept it, but his friends insist and make him the captain anyway. An announcement then calls for the first captains and their secondaries to meet on the roof. When they arrive, they find everyone already there. Hayato decides that Nairi will be their negotiator. Hayato declares that they should all do their best. And then suddenly Sakura calls them by their names, shocking them. Yumamiya shows up with more students, but Sakura gets annoyed at the thought of remembering more names, especially those of the grade captains. Nairi is scared and explains that these people aren't just grade captains. They are the 4 knights of Fuurin High and their second in command. Sakura doesn't understand why Nairi is so excited, so Nairi repeats that these are the 4 tough leaders of Fuurin High. Yumamiya thanks everyone for coming and says that the people behind him will be in charge of Fuurin High from now on. But before he talks about that, he shares that his garden is fully transplanted, thanks to Kyotaro's help. However, Hiragi reminds him it's not the time to talk about his garden and that he should greet the new captains. Yumamiya says he didn't plan to give a big speech, but he has something to say. He tells everyone that he's counting on them. He may be strong, but he can't be everywhere at once and watch everyone all the time. So, he wants them to look out for each other. Everyone promises to meet Yumamiya's expectations, and then they start to chat. After a while, Yumamiya comes over to Sakura's crew and is happy to see Sakura as the captain. He tells Nairi and Hayato that he will be counting on them too. If they ever get in trouble, they shouldn't hesitate to ask their upperclassmen for help. With that, the meeting ends, and Sakura and the others head back to class. Once they are back, Teiga asks them to go to the mussel restaurant again. Nairi likes the idea, but the others shut him down. Then Sakura spots a couple of guys in matching white jackets who look shady. He asks them if they are looking for someone. The leader says they are looking for someone from Fuurin, but none of them fit the bill, so they leave. Hayato sees the logo on their jackets and recognizes them from the Kiel crew. He says he doesn't know much about them, but knows they have a bad reputation. Then they hear an old lady screaming and find Anzai all beat up in an alley. When Anzai wakes up, he tells a story about being chased by a giant dog until he knocked himself out, but no one believes him. They press him to tell the truth, but he makes an excuse to leave. Before he goes, Hayato asks if this has anything to do with the Kiel crew. Anzai denies it, but his expression says otherwise. After that, Nairi asks Sakura what to do if Kiel is behind the attack, but Sakura thinks rushing into action is a bad idea, as Anzai didn't ask for help, so maybe he doesn't want to involve them. However, Nairi thinks that it is their duty to help, even if Anzai doesn't want it. This reminds Sakura of what Yumamiya said about looking out for each other. So, he hurries, but an old lady stops him and offers him some food. Sakura gets flustered, but takes it and leaves. Sakura wants to help Anzai, even if he doesn't admit it. Elsewhere, Anzai is talking to a girl by the playground. The girl is worried about him getting hurt, but Anzai says he can handle it. She asks if he convinced Nagato to come back to their crew, but Anzai is worried and thinks that Nagato might have crossed a line and can't come back. The girl suggests asking Fuurin for help, but Anzai refuses because it's personal for him. She offers to help next time he confronts Nagato, but Anzai says it's too dangerous. He tries to tell her not to worry, but she's still worried. As Anzai leaves, Sakura arrives and asks the girl what she and Anzai talked about. She's hesitant at first, but when she sees his Fuurin uniform, she agrees to tell him that she and Anzai have been friends since they were kids, and Nagato joined their crew later. Even though they went to different schools, they stayed friends. But recently, she saw Anzai and wanted to catch up. She noticed Anzai wasn't in good shape and guessed he had been in a fight. She tells Sakura everything about Nagato's situation. After listening to this, Sakura says he'll bring Nagato back so they can sort things out. The girl is relieved and thanks Sakura for being a good friend. Then, in the classroom, Sakura and the others see Anzai receive a letter from a creepy guy. Anzai recognizes the description and freaks out. The letter shows Keel holding a bloody Nagato hostage and demanding Anzai come to the shipping yard. Anzai tries to brush it off, but Sakura asks for the details. Anzai finally tells him that he saw a Keel member snatching a purse, and when he tried to stop him, he realized it was Nagato. Nagato punched him, and the next day, Anzai saw Nagato getting beaten by Keel members for not stealing enough money. Anzai tried to help, but Nagato hit him with a stick. Sakura doesn't understand why Nagato stays with Keel, but Anzai knows something is seriously wrong, so he wants to help Nagato. Sakura agrees to help, and their whole class decides to go to the shipping yard to rescue Nagato. Then they all head out together to save their friend. Subscribe to my channel for more amazing recaps like this. If you have any suggestions for the next recap, comment down below.